Yo sí. Entonces yo siga cantando. Vamos a llegar al cielo.
Si negaras mi presencia en tu vivir, bastaría con abrazarte y conversar. Tanta dicha yo tenía, por fuerza tienes ya sabor a mí. No pretendo ser tu dueño, no soy nadie, yo no tengo vanidad de mi vida. Doy lo bueno, soy tan pobre que otra cosa puedo dar. Pasarán más de 1000 años, muchos más. Yo no sé si tenga por la eternidad, pero allá tal como aquí, en la boca llevarás sabor a mí. Ser tu dueño, yo no soy nadie, yo no tengo vanidad de mi vida. Doy lo bueno, soy tan pobre que otra cosa puedo dar. Pasarán más de 1000 años, muchos más. Yo no sé si tengamos la eternidad, pero allá tal como aquí, en la boca llevarás sabor a mí, sabor a mí, sabor a mí, sabor a mí.
Now? Okay, great, excellent. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the celebration of the life of Andy González. We would like for all you to take a seat if you can. We're about getting ready to start. Okay. Now I have just one request of everybody. It's the only thing I'm going to ask all night. If you're able to stand, please stand. Now, you know, normally in the church, when someone asks you to stand, they want you to bow your heads and think about the person. I want you to do the exact opposite. I want you to think about Andy and what he meant to you, and I want you to give him a round of applause. We've never been able to do that. Let's give a round of applause to Andy González. Keep going. So it's a very tight program that we have. I'm not going to speak for a long time. I'm going to let our MC, who I'm going to introduce to you right now, take over the podium. Without further ado, there's a gentleman here who's going to be your MC who I really love him very dearly. He's like that proverbial brother from another mother, and he means it too, because when I call him, he picks up the phone. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Felipe Luciano.
It's so good to see you here. Andy might have been a little embarrassed because he was that kind of guy. I've never met a more humble person in my life. I loved him. It's as simple as that. Anyone who came within his aura loved him. He was a towering figure in jazz and Latin music. Throughout his career, he co-founded a number of important bands like Conjunto Libre, Grupo Folclórico y Experimental Nuyoricano, and Fort Apache, and played with many of the most influential figures in Latin and jazz scenes, including Ray Barretto, Eddie Palmieri, Dizzy Gillespie. Dizzy told me, you got a guy in your culture who's a killer. He was talking about Andy. Kenny Durham, Tito Puente, Chico O'Farrell, Israel Lopez Cachao, Patato Valdez, Totico, Arango, Clifford Thornton, Jaco Pastorius, Astor Piazzolla, and so many others. Over more than 50 years of career and 800 recording sessions, he contributed to countless ensembles and embodied a living school of music and humanity, a guiding light for generations of musicians who came through his door. It was when I was talking to Carlos Enriquez that I realized how much he meant to people. Carlos said he spent hours with him just going through the technique, You'd be surprised at what you can do with a young musician or with a young person if they come up to you based on your knowledge of a particular science. Above all, Andy understood music as a legacy, both inherited and passed on, and as a force for personal and collective transformation. Born in New York City in 1951 to Puerto Rican parents, he grew up immersed in music. His father, Jerry González Sr., was an accomplished vocalist and an avid record collector, always nurturing his children's musical education. His mother, meanwhile, always sought out the best music programs within New York City's public school system, which is difficult to find. From an early age, Andy studied violin and bass in PS 78 and John Philip Sousa Junior High School in the Bronx, showing remarkable talent and dedication. Andy was only 13 years old when he and his brother Jerry formed their first band, the Latin Jazz Quintet, which was heavily influenced by the sounds of Cal Tjader and shared billing with legends. He shared billing with legends like Tito Rodriguez, Eddie Palmieri, and Joe Cuba. Around the same time, he also joined Monguito Santamaria's band. Jerry remembers it this way. These are his words. When Andy was still in junior high school, our father gave him an imposing Ampeg baby bass. Do you remember those little basses? I remember Andy carrying them around. And soon he took over the whole scene with that bass. He became a professional musician at age 13 when he joined Monguito Santa Maria's band. I joined the band right after him, a pattern that would repeat throughout our lives. Y'all don't know this, but it was Andy who got the gigs. Andy would get the gig and he would invite Jerry in. We thought it was the other way around. Bass players are always in higher demand, so Andy would get a gig playing bass with some band and then pull me in. This is Jerry speaking. One day, Ray Barreto heard Andy playing and hired him. Andy was still in high school. That gig gave Andy a huge exposure. He toured a lot, Panama, Venezuela, Colombia, Japan, and inspired many other teenagers to play bass because they admired what he was doing. Julio Romero and Alex Blake were two of those teenagers. I remember how proud I was to be Andy Gonzalez's brother. Andy continued to refine his skills studying at Music and Art High School, taking private lessons with bassist Stephen Swallow, and attending classes provided by Jazzmobile. I don't know how many of you know about that. That has nurtured more musicians than a little bit. I tried playing sax there. I had to let go. I wasn't that good. Where musicians like Joe Newman, Jimmy Owen, Dizzy Gillespie, Barry Harris, and Clark Terry taught free lessons to large groups of children. In the early 1970s, Andy formed a lifelong musical partnership with Manny Oquendo, founding the group Conjunto Libre, where he also served as musical director, a collaboration lasting 35 years. When I was doing radio on WRVR, I remember people coming up to me and asking me about this band, Libre, and they would say they are a force to be reckoned with. Do you know bands would not play with them? Because they would blow you off the bandstand. Wherever Libre played, they would just blow you. They had an infectious style, an infectious rhythm, and they had a joy. The joy was effervescent. I always tell musicians, when you go on, smile. Let people know how much you love this stuff, because it's contagious. Here are Jerry's words. In 1974, the musicians that had left Eddie Palmieri founded Conjunto Libre. The band's name was an inside joke, Conjunto Libre de Palmieri. It also had something to do with the rallying cry of the Grito de Lares, que viva Puerto Rico libre. Andy convinced Manny Oquendo to come out from retirement and lead the band. He was the best timbalero and bongocero on the scene. How many of you remember Manny Oquendo? Wasn't he a monster? Every band he played with became successful, whether it was Tito Rodriguez, Tito Puente, or of course, is that Rene up there? How are you, Rene? Good to see you, puppy. He's the reason for so many of us being in this music. We used to go to his house. Big hand to Rene Lopez. Rene Lopez. We would go to his house on Story Avenue and spend hours, smoked up, of course, spend hours listening to old Cuban music. And he would say, do you hear that? He was the one who introduced me to Belisario Lopez, Prepárate para bañarte. I couldn't believe the song. It was so hip. Thank you, Rennie, from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, Andy convinced Manny Oquendo to come out from retirement and lead the band. He was the best timbalero and bongocero on the scene. His sense of time was from another world. His swing could be felt throughout the whole band, and if he wasn't there, it was missed. He had that típico style, so hard to play. Andy used to say that when Manny played, he didn't just play beats, he made statements. Manny was like a father figure to all of us, especially to Andy. We started Libre on our own with no help from anyone. We took a loan from local 802 Musicians Union, bought our equipment, and started from scratch. Conjunto Libre played a modern approach to the old Cuban and Puerto Rican repertoire, with arrangements by Andy and trombonist Papo Vasquez. ¿Está Papo por aquí? Where is he? He's in the back? Okay. He's the godfather to my child. It was what they would label as salsa, but that word never sat right with me, says Jerry. A word too small to describe what all the music involved is about. Son cubano, charanga, guaracha, bolero, mambo, bomba plena, guaguancó. Just a marketing invention. Another thing that made Conjunto Libre unique in the salsa scene was our ethics. Conjunto Libre didn't want to follow Fania's ethics. Around the same time, Andy Jerry, and musicologist Rene Lopez created Grupo Folclórico y Experimental Nuyoricano, an innovative ensemble dedicated to exploring and preserving the musical traditions of Cuba and Puerto Rico while pushing creative boundaries. Now, when I first heard this band, I think I was at WRVR, and I couldn't believe the sound. Folks, there's something about this music that we still haven't quite figured out. It is African music set to our culture. It's beautiful. You go to the Congo, they love it. You go to Guinea, they love it. You go to Japan, they adore it. It's an amazing music. We need to appreciate this music a lot more. Andy helped promote it. Here's Jerry's words. The same year Conjunto Libre was born, we also started another band with some of the musicians who used to hang with us in our basement. I know a lot of you have heard about this basement on Gildersleeve Avenue. It was a wonderful place. We'd go into that basement and we would listen. I'm telling you, all the musicians, all of the monsters today started from the Gildersleeve Avenue. And we would listen hard to those old Cuban records. Rene Lopez would bring us them. We would always be amazed that Rene could take a 78 and wipe it with his hand. I thought, what are you doing, Rene? He said, don't worry about it. It's not going to skip. And it never skipped. I don't know how he did that. It all started when I got a gig at Wesleyan University. They wanted a Latin band to play opposite McCoy Tyner. So we put together this particular band and a repertoire for that concept. Then more concerts followed. While Conjunto Libre was more arranged and directed, this new band was more loose. Improvisational skills were higher. No music papers either, no uniforms. Conjunto Libre was Andy and Manny's band. This new band was a team effort between Rene Lopez, Andy, and me. At the same time, we didn't want it to be a band with a definite leader. It was more like an intergenerational collective. We played different forms of Afro-Cuban and Puerto Rican music as a concert band. We wanted to play the different folkloric forms, guaguancó, guajiro, guaracha, danzón, bomba, plena, and then also experiment with them to show that they were living forms, something that was vibrant, not museum pieces. It was a cultural work, and we were quite proud of being able to present our culture. Some of our friends would play in both bands. Some very important old musicians joined the band. Vigilio Martí, how many people remember him? Vigilio Martí, the singer, monster sonero. He is from Havana, born 1919. Marcelino Guerra, he's the composer for Parecochero, died in Spain. Chocolate Armenteros, Santa Clara. You remember him, right? He used to walk the streets and people didn't know how famous he was. Caíto used to take the maracas and throw them up in the air and catch them. I remember that. I said, this guy is smart, man. He's rhythmic. And Julito Collazo, of course. Such an honor and validation to have our heroes on board. Rene Lopez brought the officials from Salsa Records, a new label, to our basement, and we had a rehearsal. After that, after they heard us, they wanted to record us immediately. If I know those guys, they were thinking money. But they did record them, thank God. Andy and I started calling the new band Conjunto Anabacoa, after the song Anabacoa played by Arsenio Rodriguez. But Rene Lopez and producer Andy Kaufman, is Andy here? And the producer Andy Kaufman, Salsa Records, renamed it Grupo Folclórico y Experimental Nuyoricano. It's always that's a tongue twister. I always thought that the name was too long, but it actually defines the concept very well, because we couldn't call it a totally folkloric band, because we were also dedicating ourselves to moving the music forward. And that means quite a bit of experimentation. We were heavily influenced by Conjunto Folclórico Nacional de Cuba. In 1975, we released Concepts in Unity. How many people have that album? Oh, that's wonderful. Concepts in Unity. And in 1976, Lo Dice Todo. How many people have that album? Better check it out, boy. These are collector's items. Lo Dice Todo, both recorded at Bell Sound Studios. Those albums made me very proud. Everyone participating was so joyous and supportive. Other musicians loved our records because of the many new concepts and information about the Afro-Cuban and Puerto Rican music traditions. The musical descriptions on the album were also very educational. Non-musicians loved them too because they were great records to uplift the spirit and to dance. Those albums had a lot of energy. People would tell us that our music was making them feel more proud of their Latino roots. They were a big commercial success, too. I don't remember how many copies we sold, but Billboard magazine wrote that Concepts in Unity made the... Do I hear music? I don't remember how many copies we sold, but Billboard magazine wrote that Concepts in Unity made the top 10 of all the Latin charts and remained there for over 20 weeks, an unusual feat for any ethnic recording. Pablo Menendez, Barbara Dane's son, even took the albums to Cuba where people felt what we were doing was important. Should I go on or should I? You want me to go on? Because sometimes even I get bored. And not at this. Mami, ¿qué pasa? Is that the way it was supposed to be? Then we'll let the band play now. Okay. I'll come back and read you some more stuff. I just want to thank you for loving my brother. There was something about Andy that was so humble. He was just humble. Jerry and I were both aggressive, confrontational. Andy was not like that. He was loved. There's a picture of him in Panama, if I'm not mistaken, or Caracas, is it? Where he's looking this way, and we used to say that was Jesus Christ. Because that's what the picture looked like, the traditional form of Jesus Christ. We know he was black. But I can't stand it when I see these Jesuses with long blonde hair and blue eyes. Come on now. It's Palestine, y'all. And sometimes they be blue, not even black. He was a good-looking man, and he always respected everybody. That's what I loved about Andy. He was very gentle with my son. He met my daughter one day. He was very gentle. He's just a wonderful guy. I hope and I pray that the angels have him in their arms, that we remember what he did for us, because all musicians are missionaries. Every one of them is a missionary. Every one of them is a priest. Do you know how hard it is to learn music and read it and be able to do that? Not all musicians can read music. I think they're all mathematicians. 16th notes, 8th notes, 32nd notes. I mean, it's incredible. I was always horrible in math. But Andy, if you're listening to us, may God bless you. May you be at peace now. He went through a severe physical challenge. And may you remember that we loved you even to your dirty drawers. May God bless you. And now the music.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to start with a composition that Andy kind of redefined with Libre, and it's a jazz standard by Freddie Hubbard called Little Sunflower. And if Perdomo or Mr. O'Connell, if you want to play this one, or Arturo, anybody wants to play this one, you're welcome. And we're going to follow that up with a trio number that we recorded on his album. And we're actually just going to go through a series of tunes that we felt we attributed to Andy, not just from his record, but songs that he's played quite a bit with Fort Apache, Grupo Folklorico, and Menuquendo Libre. So the first one is Little Sunflower, and there's so many incredible musicians here that have known Andy and loved him, and they're going to be presenting this music for the rest of the night. So everybody have a great time, strap yourself in, and enjoy the show.
Mr. Carlos Abadi on trumpet. Mr. Lucas Curtis on bass. And Mr. Zakai Curtis at the piano.
We did a recording called Entre Colegas with Andy, and it was nominated for a Grammy. That album was a very important record that had to get completed, and Andy chose all the songs and the way we did it on the album. In fact, I didn't expect to play on the album. I was there to help out with the recording, and he had this arrangement that he just had me play on. So he just said, Zakai, come play piano, but I didn't know it. There was no chart, so we just followed his lead. And we took that arrangement and added some horns to it. So we're gonna play Ode to Joy. And this is arranged by Andy González. And we kind of did a rehearsal. So those of you that were at the rehearsal, please join us. But I think we didn't have any percussion. So I see some great percussionists over there. I don't know if you want to join us, Carlos, and yeah, come on over. And anybody else that feels they want to participate in this one. Jose, I think you were at the rehearsal, so you know the arrangement. You know the arrangement better than anyone. We'll follow you. Tane, do you want to join us on this? Yeah. And Peter, did you want to play? Did you want to play this one too? Okay. Whoever.
You know, we'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out.
Andy was also a key element of the groundbreaking Jerry González and the Fort Apache Band. How many people remember that? I would go down to the village just to listen to them. That Fort Apache Band was incredible. Do you know something? I'm going to say something. I hope it doesn't upset people. Not one of those guys is alive today. It's so sad. Larry Willis is gone, Stubblefield is gone, Joe Ford is gone, Steve Berrios. I remember the monumental, historical battles between Jerry and Steve Berrios. They used to get it on, boy. I'm telling you. Hi, Brian, how are you? Good. And I used to get in between and say, why don't you guys stop? No, because it was unbelievable. For me, Jerry González and the Fort Apache Band was a milestone because I used to get mad that Latin music became so typical, and this was done purposely, to keep people from innovative thinking. We couldn't break out of that song mode. And in order for us to grow as a culture, we're going to have to break out of that mold and try new things. I don't get mad at Bad Bunny. I think he's crazy, but I think he's wonderful. He's great for the music. The same thing happened to Eddie when he came on the scene. There's something I want to tell you. Folks, don't think that the music can't be restricted. Already, and I'm very proud of these musicians, have decided not to play at the Kennedy Center. Isn't that wonderful? They told the Orange Man, we're not going to play there. I don't care what you say. He's tried to knock him down. Can you imagine him putting his name above former President Kennedy? I'm going to say something. We're facing some terrible times. I'm not going to get political. You know where I'm at. I'm with Mandani. All the way. We need the youth to come out and support this music. Why is it important? Because if your children are not listening to Latin jazz, if your children are not listening to Latin music, if your children are not listening to straight ahead jazz, we're going to have a problem. It could die just like anything else. Don't think it can't. This man wants to kill this country by 1,000 cuts. He's doing it slowly. This is exactly what Hitler did, and I'm mentioning Hitler now. This is fascism of the greatest, of the highest order. And I don't care if you voted for him or not, be careful, because a lot of Latinos voted for him. They thought, él es un comerciante, he's a businessman. A businessman can kill you too. Come on, y'all. We're gonna have to really fight hard because this country is under great threat. And once we lose what we call freedom of expression, it's over. Freedom of expression starts with music. And if he can do that to people, already there's a gentleman named Kelly who's the senator from Arizona, who's a combat veteran, who he wants to put on trial. He wants to take his money and he wants to decommission it. What kind of nonsense is this? I don't mean to get totally political because it's a beautiful tribute to Andy González, but if Andy was here, he'd be saying the same thing. Jerry would be even worse. Jerry would be, we'd have to keep him from cursing. Okay. Here's Jerry. After our album Obatala, I had to downsize my band. It was too difficult to move and pay 12 musicians. For a while, I was trying different combinations. Kenny Kirkland, Larry Willis. Yeah, give him a hand. I love Larry Willis. Or Hilton Ruiz on piano, remember him? Andy on bass, Edgardo Miranda on guitar, Papo Vasquez on trombone, Sonny Fortune on sax, Steve Berrios or Victor Jones, and Nicky Marrero on percussion. Finally, I settled on a sextet and kept the same lineup during the next 8 records. Larry Willis on piano, Andy on bass, Steve Berrios on drums, Carter Jefferson on tenor saxophone. After he passed, we got John Stubblefield. These are all names I love. What, Steve Turre? Yeah, he was part of this. Say what? You're the first, that's right. That's right. You're right. In that band, everybody was special. You all know Steve Turre, don't you? Stand up for a minute. Every time he plays those seashells, I think he's going to faint. Thank you, Steve. Andy was Andy. We had grown together listening to the same albums and playing in the same bands, so we developed a similar understanding of music. His tumbao bass patterns were always on clave. He kept me grounded. His playing had a lot to do with Cachao, Bobby Rodriguez, Paul Chambers, Al McKibben, Ray Brown, and Ron Carter, which is a nice combination of styles. My brother could be the most cooperative member of the Fort Apache band, or the opposite. Our constant bickering made our bandmates start calling us Cain and Abel. I was always the one taking risks in life and making the mistakes, and he would observe me learning from my mistakes. I've always loved him and admired him so much. Those groups were more than just bands. They were communities of musicians. We had a very intense experience that marked us, and trips during which things happened that if I told you, nobody would believe. We were the independents on the scene. We played and recorded what we felt like doing, avoiding big record companies and the Fania Mafia, big record companies. By the Fania Mafia, big record companies don't invest in natural projects. They want to shape you into something that you are not. Thinking that way involves many sacrifices. Staying alive without the support of the industry is very, very hard. And now we go to the next musical part. Yeah? Okay, we go to the musical part. Folks, I love being up here. I love talking to you. I feel the warmth from you. So when we get out, give me some money. I'm joshing. I'm just kidding. This is Jerry's youngest daughter, Julia, who I've known since she was a baby. When did I first meet her? About 4? She was 1 year old. She came into my house, and I showed her a rhythmic pattern on the conga, and she did it. She's now studying in Spain. She studies cello and trumpet. A big hand for Julia González. By the way, the Curtis's mother is right here. Stand up, Miss Curtis. Lukai. She raised 2 musicians. 9 years of age. 9. Julia González. Bravo. Thank you, Julia. Wonderful, wonderful. What do we do?
Want us to continue or?
Next one is Elegua and Earth Dance. Do you do that?
Next is Earth Dance.
Earth
I
Dance,
was just
good
about
enough.
to say that. So sticking on the Fort Apache, we want to do bring up Bill O'Connell and the people and Tane, people that play with Fort Apache, and is Victor Jones here? Oh wow! What's up, Victor? This is Fort Apache's Earth Dance, written by Joe Ford.
on, y'all. Y'all can do better than that. This is for Andy. Thank you very much. Pablito el Indio even got into the spirit. Oye, me gustó el solo, ¿sabe? You did a wonderful thing, Pablo. It's about that time for us to cool down and go home, really. I remember we used to turn places out. We wouldn't go, but we got to go on this one. Andy passed the torch to many who are present here, musicians, musicologists, music lovers, people from the music industry, and the parents and grandparents of children who now deserve a true musical education beginning at home. He did not have children of his own, but he left a whole wide human musical lineage. You saw what his niece did. Julia, stand up, Julia, again. Stand up. You'll be seeing more of her. Where is Xiomara? Where is she? These are the twins. And Marisol. Come out here, let people see you, baby. These are his two twins. They're gorgeous. These are Jerry's two twins. Show them a lot of love outside because they've been going through hell. Okay, God bless both of you. What else? He didn't have children, but he passed on so much stuff. For me, he passed on the whole tradition of patience and reserve. I'm one of them cats from 112th Street. I'm like Steve Bedhughes. I like to fight. And I've had to learn to calm down because in the end, it destroys you. It does. That doesn't mean I'm not going to fight against Trump. I think we need to fight against that chump. ¿Tú me entiendes? He's guided a lot of, Andy has guided a lot of musicians, a new generation carrying forward his spirit and vision. We are all called to carry forward what he stood for, honoring the legacy of those who came before us, offering musical education to those willing to listen, and sharing knowledge with generosity. Today, it falls to us, all of us, children, educators, musicians, journalists, and music lovers. Nando Alvarici, ¿dónde está Nando? He was here for a minute. To ensure that the contributions of Andy and Jerry González are recognized and placed exactly where they truly belong in history. I would hope that all of us would heed the call and follow the call when we decide to build a National Institute of Salsa here in New York City. I hope we can pull this off. We're doing our best. We're doing our best to get as much money as we can. We haven't written the proposal yet. Anybody who's a proposal writer should come up to me and let me know they want to do this. It's going to cost a few million. But imagine, hey, Arturo Farrell. I remember him as a kid running around on West End Avenue. I was talking to his father all the time. Folks, thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for remembering the legacy of a man who never thought of himself, who always thought of others. When you see Lucas on that bass, you're seeing Andy. When you see the guy from, when you see, ¿cómo se llama el hombre de Wynn Kelly, ¿cómo? Pardon me? Carlos Enriquez. When you see him, you're seeing Andy. And by the way, let me let you know that the one living member of the Fort Apache Band is Steve Toure. Steve, stand up. He's still here. He had to hit me to a lot of things. Artie, you ready? This is Andy's brother, Artie. Good looking. Good looking until it looks like his father a lot. All right, hit it, brother.
What a gorgeous room of people. You know, I'm the younger brother. I grew up in the shadow of my brothers and their art and their music. But I also remember all the good times of just riding on my brother's handlebars as Andy rode me around the neighborhood, or building big snowmen, and I was included because I was only like 3 or 4 years old, but behind Edenmore Projects, the snow would pile up. All those good memories, you know, growing up, spending time with Andy as he went through all his stages. I remember them being locked in a room and nobody could go in and bother them because they were studying and practicing. I remember through junior high and high school. I remember all the bands, Andrew Langston, Llewellyn Matthews, all the formative bands that they played with. And I saw all these older cats looking at my brother like, you're the it guy, man. These guys brought everything to the table, and they shared so much music and so much intellect between each other and amongst each other that every room I ever walked into when I was a kid was full of the same joy that's in this room right now. They made everybody happy. They made everybody go, oh shit, I didn't know that, wow. They made everybody want to be something. And so, musically, I had the best seat in the house all my life. You know, on the humane scale, I couldn't have been blessed with two greater souls than my brothers and my sister Eileen, who I love tremendously. Families go through things, you know, as we get older. We lose loved ones. Sometimes we get put in situations we're not real comfortable with, but caretakers are to be applauded in this life. If you're taking care of anybody, God bless you. It's one of the hardest things in this world, but when you love someone, you do it. And so me and my sister persevered for Andy all these years and gave him as much independence and freedom as he could have to continue his love of music. So I just want to thank everybody in this room, family, friends, my first cousins, my nieces, my beautiful little girl here. Thank you so much for coming and blessing Andy with this day. I hope you get home safe. Happy New Year.
Andrea has asked me to say a few words, and I want to not take a lot of your time, but take a look around you. This is Andy's legacy, love. And love and truth are the currencies, the only currencies that have value. And I just want to tell you the impact you make on each other, on lives that you touch outside this room when we leave, are also a legacy of Andy's love. I didn't want to play Latin music. My father was Chico O'Farrell. God, I wanted to get away from it. And I got kind of a career playing with Carla Bley and this one and that one, and blah, 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 blah. And Andy sat me down and said, brother, I've been a big fan of yours, but you got to take care of your music, the music of your people. And he sat me down on Fort Independence Avenue and he read me the Riot Act from Linus Frias to Charlie all the way up to Edsel Gomez. And I want to tell you something. That began my life. That was the beginning of my life. And my life will now is going to result in the creation of a cultural space in Harlem on 118th Street and Park Avenue. That is Andy's legacy. If it weren't for Andy, we would not be building Casa Milongo. Every one of us casts a huge shadow. If you love Andy González today, go out and share that love and that truth. Thank you for allowing me, Andrea, to speak.
And now Andy's sister Eileen, who's a rocket ship boy.
Okay, is this thing working? Great. Well, most of you know me, some of you don't, but I'm Andy Gonzalez's sister, Eileen. And I was present at their childhood, their musical development, and an amazing contribution that they had as musicians. Andy and I were born a year and a day apart. I was born December 31st, he was January 1st, so we shared a really special connection. And as kids, we looked so much alike that everyone thought that we were twins. While Jerry was out playing outdoors and interacting with the neighborhood, Andy and I would have our own world inside our own house, making tents, playing house, watching TV shows and movies together. His favorite shows were The Rifleman and monster movies. And before he aspired to music, he wanted to be a monster movie makeup artist. And he would experiment on me. I had the best Halloween costumes. Our home, thanks to my dad, was full of music. My dad was already involved as a singer in Latin jazz or Latin orchestras since his arrival in New York in the 1940s. And he influenced my brothers and me to listen to old and new Latin jazz records. And he bought us our first instruments. My mom, she helped us by finding ways in New York City to get into public schools that had a music program. And PS 78 was our grammar school, the most fantastic grammar school ever. Andy learned how to play violin and bass. I played clarinet, flute, and oboe, and Jerry played trumpet. And I remember being with Andy in PS 78's orchestra as a first clarinet, playing the complicated score of West Side Story. Who knew that 5th and 6th graders could play that? The parents were amazed. And when I was 10, I went to the World's Fair. And Andy and Jerry had their first big performance at the New York State Pavilion. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was so pleasantly surprised on how wonderful they sounded, and I was so very proud. I moved to Brazil when I was 11 and lived with my aunt. And there I fell in love with Brazilian music, and especially Elis Regina, and introduced her music to Andy. And Andy absolutely loved Brazilian music. And when I returned 3 years later, my brothers were already professional musicians, who knew? Andy was playing and touring with Ray Barretto, and I brought back all these records for Andy, but his favorites were always with Elis Regina, Dois na Bossa, 1 and 2. When we went to high school, finally, we all attended the High School of Music and Art on Convent Avenue, and we received our musical foundation, bar none. I decided, since I'd stopped music, to take art. And being the only girl in the family, Andy took on the role as my protector. And he accompanied me everywhere I went until he graduated in 1969. Life went on. I moved to San Francisco and stayed for 35 years. But then I found out that Andy was very ill and he needed help. And I remember Abby and Ted calling me and saying, "You gotta come." So I did. And I decided that I had to move back to New York City and care for him, and committed myself to making Andy's life more organized and uncomplicated as possible. I was his advocate and proxy for the best health care and service available. Rene Lopez and Bob Sancho were so instrumental. Yes, sir. I'm indebted to you both. And they were Andy's guardian angels. Another angel who is not here today because he's away is his home care provider for 17 years, Andres Caba. And I'm indebted to Andres forever for his loving care. I deeply thank all those friends who never forgot Andy, and they visited him during these difficult times. And you all know who you are. Unfortunately, when you're not consistently on the scene anymore, musicians, everyone goes about their daily lives. and forgets you. But they didn't. And it was so hard for Andy to be homebound and not playing. And he looked so forward to those visits because he could conduct his infamous listening sessions and brought news about, and then they brought in news about what was going on. Thanks to Tony Salva, we had our weekly movie match nights, and it was great. Now, the last celebration we had at home was the Grammy nomination for Entre Colegas, his album release with Ted and with the Curtis brothers. They produced this album for him. Everyone came, we had tons of food, and we watched the Grammy show. And as soon as Andy's name came up, everybody went wild in our apartment. You could hear it all the way down the hall. And he was so happy, and in his own ways, he was really thankful for the Curtis brothers and their dad, Ted, for producing this. So I thank you, Lucas. I thank you, Zakai and Ted and Abby for her famous cakes and for all your love and support. Andy's life experience should also remind us of the importance of caring and honoring our musicians while they're still with us, even more when their health is no longer allowing them to keep playing, and support their loved ones who nurture them in the rhythm of everyday life at home. I miss Andy and Jerry a lot, but I take solace in knowing that they're together with my parents and all the musical mentors and friends gigging up there in heaven. So I want to thank you all for being here and sharing this wonderful day with me and my family. And I send special thanks to everyone that helped me put this memorial together. If it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't have done it. And if you haven't already, please sign the guest book along with your contact information and any comments you'd like us to have. Now, we do have a special treat for you. I do have some buttons. Who hasn't gotten a button? Please see me, and we got them for you. But I want to let you know that we have a limited amount of copies of Andy's final CD, Entre Colegas, for sale in the back of the church. This CD was Grammy nominated, and each one was personally signed by him before he passed. So the CD is very collectible and is a precious memory of Andy's legacy. Your purchase will also help us support this memorial. While I'm known for being the quiet, private person with demeanor, I don't post much on social media. I'm not a poster. I read everything, but I don't comment, I don't do anything. But it would be my pleasure to keep in touch with all of you. So abrazos to all of you. Thank you for coming, and your presence here means so much to me. Thank you.
Go ahead, go ahead. Yep, very short. Go ahead. Okay, everybody, my name is Pablo Rosario, and I'd like to add my contribution, what Andy did for me. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a British rock and roll artist named David Bowie. Well, Andy, when I was called for the audition, I had the situation of Jerry González on one side and Andy on the other side, you know, like the cartoons, the angel on one side and the devil on the other side. Well, Jerry was the one that was saying, nah, Pablo, don't take that gig. They're gonna make you dye your hair red and you're gonna be wearing eyebrows also. And Andy said, Pablo, go to the audition, take the gig. So I was between that and that, but Andy kept pushing, go to the audition, go to the audition. As it turned out, I went to the audition, I got the gig, I became the first Puerto Rican Latin percussionist for a British rock and roll star, thanks to Andy Gonzalez. Thank you, Andy. Not only that, I was the first to make $5,000 in one night with David Bowie, thanks to Andy.
Now a word from Rene Lopez. He started all of this. Folks, take it easy. We'll be going in a little while. Rennie? Rennie? Would you guys move out of the way so Rene Lopez can come up here? How you doing, man? Fine. How are you? Come on. See, Rennie, come on up. This is the godfather of the modern salsa movement, modern Latin music, Rene Lopez.
Thank you for listening.
You kidding me?
For the kind words, man.
Wasn't it for you, I wouldn't even be here, man.
Wow.
Please, folks.
We've had a wonderful time here celebrating Andy. And I have to tell you that with me, Andy, and Jerry, it's rather difficult because it's a question of family. I met Andy when he was playing with Eddie Palmieri. He had just started playing with Eddie, and Nicky Marrero was there, and then Jerry wasn't playing with Andy, but he was involved. And Eddie used to tell all his young musicians, he says, before you really know what this is about, you gotta meet Rene and talk to him a little bit and let him, pass some things on to you, some knowledge and whatnot, and I was glad to do it. We started getting together in my house. First year, I think Andy came up almost every day that he didn't work. And it was amazing because we would stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning, and then he'd say, hey man, I'm gonna split, and I go, chévere. It never dawned on me that Gildersleeve Avenue, where they lived, was not that close to me. I mean, it was in the same area. And I never wondered how he got home. And never in all that time. And then somebody told me, well, why don't you take him home? You have a car. And I go, well, I'm not taking him home because he's a musician. When he gets home, he's going to go to sleep. I got to get up at 6:30 in the morning and go to work. And sometimes I did 2 shifts. So it never dawned on me. And I was just thinking about that, but he was always up there. Not Jerry as much, but Jerry came up often, and as did many other musicians. We had so much fun. And one of the things that I'd like to impart is they always talk about how much they learned from me and the sessions in my house and all that, and I'm very proud of that. But the fact is that I learned more from them probably than what they learned from me. They were natural teachers. They were involved in jazz. I liked jazz, but I was never involved. And we had a pact sort of. When I went to visit them at their place,
Come on, y'all.
we didn't hear típico so much. We heard jazz. It's through them that I heard about Archie Shepp and all of the others, Rahsaan Roland Kirk, and the musicians that they were close to and that they admired. So it was a great learning process between the two of us. And I have never met anybody with the commitment to music that those brothers had. Nobody. I never saw them play baseball or any sport, anything. They just did music. That was it. There was never a question of that they would do anything else. It was a 100% commitment. And the Grupo thing was a great experience. I could talk a lot, and usually I do, but I'm going to cut this one short. All I'm going to say is that I will miss them forever. Lino Frias, the piano player, had a saying that we all loved. I'll say it in Spanish, and then I'll say it in English. He says, vives en mi corazón y no paga renta. You live in my heart and you don't pay rent. And that's Andy Gonzalez. Thank you very much. Okay? Thank you, Felipe, for everything, Felipe.
Oh, listen, you kidding me? Thank you for coming. Get home safely. Remember Andy Gonzalez and Jerry Gonzalez. Remember their family. And remember that we're called to carry forward what he stood for, honoring the legacy of those who came before us, offering musical education to those willing to listen, and sharing knowledge with generosity. Today, it falls on all of us, scholars, educators, musicians, journalists, and music lovers, to ensure that the contributions of Andy and Jerry González are recognized and placed exactly where they truly belong in history. Good night, y'all.